Hello everyone, it's me Skin Glow and Afro and I am back to do some more YouTube videos today. Now, as it's Black History Month here in the UK, for the whole month of October, I shall be doing videos on Black History Month. Now, I was originally supposed to start on the 1st of October, but I've not been feeling very well this week because, you know, that time of the month it's just knocked me for six, but I'm back and I'm blessed. So here we go. The very first video that I'm going to do today is about Shakka Zulu. He was born in 1787 and he died September 22nd, 1828. Now, because of how, you know, people will be born back in this, you know, 1800s, nobody knows exactly when, you know, their birth date was. So I would presume that's exactly why a lot of people don't know when Shakka Zulu was actually born. It says Shakka was the son of Zenza Kankona, chieftain of the Zulu, and Nandi, an orphan princess of the neighbouring Langeni clan. Because his parents belonged to the same clan, their marriage violated Zulu custom, and the stigma of this extended to the child. The couple separated when Shakka was 6 and Nandi took her son back to Langeni, where he passed a fatherless boyhood among a people who despised his mother. In 1802, the Langi drove Nandi out and she finally found shelter with the Sheni, a subclan of the powerful Mwefa. See, these words are, you know, hard to say. I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong. So, moving on from that, it says the reorganization of the army. So it says his first act was to reorganize the army. Like all the clans, the Zulu were armed with oxide shields and spindly throwing spears. Battles were little more than brief and relatively bloodless clashes in which the outnumbered side prudently gave away before extensive casualties occurred. Shakka first rearmed his men with long-bladed, short-hafted stabbing assegas, which forced them to fight at close quarters. He then instituted a regimental system based on age group, quartered at separate kraals, villages, and distinguished by uniform markings on shields and by various combinations of headdress and tactics which the Zulu used in every battle. The available regiments, known collectively as the Impel, were divided into 4 groups. The strongest, termed the chest, closed with the enemy to pin him down, while 2 horns raced out to encircle and attack the foe from behind. A reserve, known as the loins, was seated nearby, with its back to the battle so as not to become unduly excited, and could be sent to reinforce any part of the ring if the enemy threatened to break out. The battle was supervised by indunas, or officers who used hand signals to direct the regiments. An impi consistently covered 50 miles, 80 kilometers a day. Living off grain and cattle requisitioned from the crows, it passed and accompanied by boys who carried the warriors' sleep extermination, incorporating the remnants of the clans he smashed into the Zulu. He first decimated the small clans in the vicinity, starting with the Langeni. He sought out the men who had made his boyhood a misery and impaled them on the sharpened stakes of their own kraal fences. In less than a year, the Zulu and the army had quadrupled in numbers. In 1817, Dingi Suwayo, still Shakka's overlord, was murdered and the last restraint on Zulu expansion was removed. Within 2 years, Shakka bested the only clans large enough to threaten him, the Ndiwandri and the Koab, and in a series of annual campaigns he then struck at and smashed the complex network of clans living to the south of the Zulu territories. By 1823, the region was depopulated ruin of smoking kraals, and the terrified survivors had broken up tribal patterns as far away as the Cape colony. Depredations were limited to the coastal area. They led indirectly to the Mexican crushing that devastated the island plateau in the early 1820s. Marauding clans fleeing the Zulu wrath and searching for land started a deadly game of musical chairs that broke the clan structure of the interior and left 2 million dead in its wake. The Boer trek of the 1830s passed through this area. succeeding only because virtually no one was left to oppose them. The first Europeans arrived in Port Natal, present-day Durban, in 1824. A dozen settlers of the Farewell Trading Company established a post on the landlocked bay and soon made contact with Shakka, whose kraal Bulawayo lay 100 miles, 160 kilometers to the north. Fascinated by the ways and the artifacts, but convinced that this own civilization was much superior. Two of the early settlers, Henry Francis Finn and Nathaniel Isaacs, became fluent Zulu linguistics, and most of what is known of early Nguni history stems from their writings. In 1827, Nandi died, and with his mother's death, Shakka became openly psychotic. About 7,000 Zulus were killed in the initial paroxysm of his grief, and for a year no crops were planted, nor could milk, the basis of the Zulu diet staple, be used. All women found pregnant were slain with their husbands, as were thousands of milch cows, so that even the calves might know what it was to lose a mother. Early in 1828, Shakka sent the impis south in a raid that carried the warriors clear to the borders of the sooner return, expecting a usual season's rest. Then he sent them off to raid far in the north. It was too much for his associates, and two of his half-brothers, Dingani and Malanga, together with an Induna named Maboba, murdered him in September of that year. And that is it. That is basically the brief story of Shakka Zulu. I didn't want to do a video that was too long because I felt that might turn people off. I just wanted to, find some information that was brief and got to the point and basically spoke about the main points of who Shakka Zulu was. From what I just read, I found that information on Britannia.com. He was an amazing man, but the grief that he felt when his mother died is what basically led to his murder. It's actually quite sad anyway to see such a brilliant man be so consumed by grief that he ends up murdering other people, babies, women, their husbands and everything, because of what he was dealing with. And this is just another thing that they said, that he became psychotic. And obviously in the 1800s, there was no mental health medication you can talk. There was no you can take. There was no psychologists, psychiatrists, mental health nurses. There was none of that. So he was basically free to do what. Now, if I find out any more information about Shakka Zulu other than that brief little one, then I will do a part 2 to this video. So please let me know your thoughts down below. Have you heard about Shakka Zulu? What do you think about it? What do you think about his story? And why do you feel it is important that Black history, we do not forget these people who are important to our history? Alright, so I'll be back in a few minutes for some more YouTube videos. Alright, bye.